Welcome back to another week of The Rebel's Edge. This week, we've got both an Apple event tomorrow, Tuesday, which may bring the Air phone. That's what they're saying. But it will only be setting up for the Air phone, folks. It won't be announcing that the Air phone will be available to purchase. Nope, it'll just be the iPhone 17. And all of this coming to a head with the jobs report and whether or not they're going to put up significant revisions to the jobs reports. All of that tomorrow. We'll discuss it all today on the Rebel's Edge. Bang. Bang. God, what a great weekend for football, Pete.
Whew, boy, I'll tell you what, college football, NFL football, I mean, this is the dominant time. This is where, unfortunately, for Major League Baseball, they sit there and go, yeah, but we're almost towards the World Series. And it's like, yeah.
They're doing this. They're twiddling their thumbs and their fingers, Pete, because nobody's watching baseball. But thank goodness you're watching the Rebel's Edge. He's Pete Najarian. I'm Jon Najarian. We're going to give you the 411 on a bunch of stocks, some macro futures as well, and then sports on today's Rebel's Edge. Pete, let's dive in with the macro side, which it's got to be the jobs report, which came in much softer. Only 22,000 jobs were added in August, according to the BLS. And as I said, the BLS, or BS, if you'd rather, is going to probably make some revisions on as early as tomorrow, according to a friend of ours, Lou Breen, over at DRW, which is one of the biggest trading firms in Chicago. And Pete, it was a bad jobs report. There's no two ways about it. And the question is, did Jay Powell and the Fed wait too damn long before they did anything? I'll throw that to you.
Well, I will say this. Yes, that was really easy. But that being said, John, it looks like an absolute slam dunk at this point in time. I mean, it's going to have to be. They're going to be cutting rates. And it's, the debate with some people is, well, is it a quarter or 50? Well, it's probably a quarter, but there is the possibilities of 50. And I'm seeing some of those numbers looking pretty interesting too. The November through April, John, some of the jobs numbers, they looked a lot different than they look now. And that's sort of the issue that we are sort of facing at this point in time. It's interesting to see unemployment's at the highest levels since June as well. So, a lot for everybody to chew on, but this time they're going to cut. I'm just going to say it. They're cutting, and it's just a matter of, is it a quarter or 50 right now? But a quarter is certainly the dominant side of what people are looking for.
So is it a little cut like this, or is it a big cut like this? It's more likely to be a series of little cuts, but they waited too damn long. The president isn't wrong about that, Pete. He says Jerome Powell's always late. He's late when he should raise rates, and he's late when he should cut rates. And we're going to pay a little bit of a price, hopefully not too much of a price. Yeah. But then I'll throw it to futures, Pete. World futures for crude oil have been moving higher, although, still a far cry from 70 or 80. But nonetheless, OPEC announced that they're going to increase output. When was the last time OPEC said they're going to increase output and crude oil goes up? Well, it goes up because people are consuming all of it that OPEC is putting out. China's putting a lot of it into the ground and storing it. So they are the biggest consumer right now out there, Pete. I'm going to say that crude oil is my fantastic future.
Well, and it should be. And I'll tell you this, John, it's interesting being out in California like I am right now, and the fact that I'm looking at gas stations that are very easily somewhere very close to $6. They are either 20 cents lower or 30 cents higher, but whatever it is, we're talking about substantial amounts of money that are going for the gasoline right now. And that's despite the fact that we're sitting closer to 62 or 63 bucks a barrel. So it really is an amazing thing to see what's going on. I'm going to say this. It's the Burl Ives trade. We take a look over at silver and gold, right? Silver That's up and above $42 at this point in time. And then you look over at gold, John, it's pressing really close to 3,700. So it's been on a move. Both of them have been on a move. I don't know which one's more spectacular than the other, but they're both really ripping to the upside. Something to keep a very close eye on, I think, because we start getting over 3,700 on gold, and maybe we start getting a little closer to 43, which we are getting a little closer already. There's a lot of different places that people are putting their money right now, and certainly gold and silver is an area that's gotten pretty hot.
Oh, yeah. And I talked about that, Pete, Thursday last week with Charles Payne. I showed him 4 of our recent hits for unusual activity for the GLD, the ETF for gold. And it is noteworthy that they just keep buying, and it just keeps chugging higher and higher and higher. Yeah. But that's probably what it should be doing with the combination of uncertainty and with the Fed likely to start cutting rates, because then gold becomes even more attractive for people who want something that's not correlated directly to the stock market. Right. All right, Pete, let's hit SATs, which is, it sounds like satellites. It is satellites, and it's Echostar Corporation. So what do these guys do? Well, they have an awful lot of spectrum, and they're going to be selling some of that spectrum to who? Elon Musk, because SpaceX is going to spend about 17 billion with a B to buy all this spectrum that Echostar is selling to them. That'll allow them, Pete, to basically have phones that you'll be able to take your Boost Mobile or some of these others and go directly to that rather than T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon, and we can talk about them. But this one is moving higher on this news today, Pete. Echostar is, and you look at the unusual activity. I mean, unusual, look at that spike in the stock, and then look at this. Yeah. So SATS was basically just below 60, and today it trades up through 78. 6,000 of those December calls were bought, the 75s, and obviously now they're in the money because, like I say, they're about $3 in the money, but look at how much the stock is up since we saw that unusual activity. I mean, and
John, if you include the pre-markets and everything else, the high of the day is 84 and change for this thing. So big jump. It's up about 17% now, as you pointed out. Massive volumes, 3x volumes already, and that's just in the first, call it 90 minutes of the day. So across the board, they are just absolutely crushing it right now. 17 billion, like you talked about, 8.5 billion in cash, 8.5 billion in stock. These are huge numbers across the board. And by the way, as I usually go, John, and I'm going to go there again right now, is there any investment banks involved in this? Oh, yeah, you can bet your life on that one. JP Morgan. There's a surprise. The JP Morgan was a part of this monstrous deal. They are doing really, really well, John, in the investment banking side. We talk about this all the time, but this is just another one of those deals. And the more deals that we're seeing and the IPOs that we're seeing, it's absolutely been incredible and a great run. So not only is this something for Echostar, as well as the effects that it has maybe on some of the other stocks, but I think from an investment banking perspective, with JP Morgan doing this one, it's not so bad either for JP.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fees, Pete. $17 billion deal. These guys get a percentage, little spiff, based on how big those deals are. Yeah. All right, let's dive into 2 stocks, Pete, that are going to be included in the S&P 500. The first one, Applovin, APP. And this one's just been on fire this year. A lot of you probably don't trade it because it's a $500 stock, and not many of us really want to dabble in the stock. You might dabble in the options, though, because that might be the smoother, better way to trade it. But effective September 22nd, they are going into the S&P 500, Pete. The stock's getting a really nice pop of about 11% today based on that. And their market capitalization is now up to almost $170 billion. So a great day to be loving Applovin, I think.
It is a great day to be loving Applovin. And this thing is absolutely ripping, as you just said, John. I saw the highs, 52-week high, 555. It eased back a little bit off of that, but when you take a look, it's up, what, 10% now today, and it was up 20%, I think, in the month. So they have been doing everything right, including their earnings that they had not too terribly long ago. Everything's been moving in the right direction, and all of a sudden you go into the S&P 500, that's going to give you a lift almost every single time. So I think the enthusiasm is out there. The price targets are out there. We've got all sorts of changes by analysts now looking for this name to actually go even higher than obviously it was just a few weeks ago even, but strong balance sheet. There is nothing that you could say right now, at least, that's negative about Applovin. They are really in a great spot, and that stock reflects it by the fact that it just keeps on chunking and chunking and chunking even higher. And that one's going to be something that we'll be watching that very closely. The S&P, I'll tell you what, you enter into the S&P, John, you got a good shot that your stock's going to get a pretty good lift.
Well, this stock, Pete, was 85 bucks on the 52-week lows. It was through 550 today. So, you know, a lot of people, a lot of us talk about Apple, talk about NVIDIA, talk about Microsoft, and these monstrous moves in Google as well. Well, when you look at this one, it's putting them to shame. I mean, when you're doing 5x on the actual stock, not an options trade, on the stock, that's huge. All right, another one that's going into the S&P, Pete, is Hood, which is, of course, the symbol HOOD for Robinhood. The stock surging after they finally get the approval and the announcement that they're joining the S&P 500. So I don't know what else we can say except that these guys came out with a great model. And even though it's not the platform that I want to trade on, Pete, I like Rebel Trade, of course. But these guys have done an awful lot of things right. So, you know, tip of the hat to them. And getting included in the S&P 500 is one more of those noteworthy milestones that the stock has hit.
Yeah, kudos to what they've been able to do so far, John, and I'm sure there's still more into the future. Like you said, we've got some competition going, so that will be interesting into the future. But the 52-week low on the stock, just a little bit under 19 bucks. It's trading about 117 today, so not so bad. I mean, a pretty nice lift as they go into the S&P 500. They have an incredible balance sheet. When you take a look, John, they've got cash of $19 billion. They've got cash over the debt that they've got of about $6 billion. So they are definitely sitting in a really, really great spot. They trade, allow people to trade just about everything that they would want. So there's a lot of good things that you could see about why this company, and by the way, it's been talked about going into the S&P for a really long time. And now they finally got that opportunity. So this is great for them. They've done a lot of things the right way. And I'm hopeful that we would do something even better. I look forward to it.
Well, we look forward to being a big competitor for them. How about that?
Yeah.
Stock, options, and futures platform. More on that shortly, folks. And one more group of stocks rather than a single stock, and that is, hey, if Elon Musk decides to use SpaceX to distribute, again, to cell phones and so forth, which he is doing already, and now with this additional spectrum from SATs, who's that going to hurt? T for AT&T, TMUS for T-Mobile, and Verizon, VZ, which, by the way, Pete, Verizon is trying to borrow our phrase, it's not an option, because I've been watching in the NFL games, and Verizon has been saying, well, if you want to watch the NFL, it's not an option. You should have a Verizon phone. Well, you should also have a little option training so you know how to trade these when one group's going down like this group is, Pete, while SATS is going like this. And God knows if SpaceX was publicly traded individually right now, it would be going up like it's rockets, Pete.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But yeah, you take a look at Verizon, take a look at T-Mobile, take a look at all these, and you're going to see stocks that they've had an okay year so far. The year to date is okay. But when you look at it the most recently, and obviously with what's going on, not so much. And there's a little bit of pressure on these stocks today. There's no doubt about it. By the way, it was not too long ago in August, John, where AT&T acquired some of the Echostar Spectrum stuff as well, these licenses. And interesting, because of the fact that they actually put out about $23 billion on that deal. And with that, you know what? I'm going to say it one more time. This is why I'm so strong and committed to this whole investment banking. How about Jeffries? They were the ones that were putting this deal together, John. So they did a fantastic job, obviously, but is it too late? Is it something that's going to work for some of the old school folks? We'll see. It'll be really interesting to see, because obviously with Verizon and T-Mobile and all the rest, AT&T, they've got to do something to be able to be competitive. And you know what? They might be a little bit late. We'll see how that all plays out.
Yeah, I love, for instance, my Starlink, Pete, down in Puerto Rico, because even with storms, as long as it's got power, and I've got generators, so I'm almost always got power, it is just a great way to connect to the internet without any of the other worries that you get with other internet providers. So eventually it's not just going to be those phone carriers, folks, like T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T. It's also going to be Xfinity. It's going to be Spectrum. It's going to be any of the cable providers as well. So just keep that in your hat. All right. Pete, I know that we had a couple great games. We're only going to show you one of them today. Maybe we'll show you the other one, the Bills, tomorrow. But both fantastic finishes, Pete. Let's take a look at the San Francisco game, because San Francisco had its hands full with oh no, we do have that's San Francisco.
San Francisco with the Seattle.
They had their hands full with Seattle, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seattle, check this out.
This is why this guy's he's worth $50 million, John. It's amazing how good he is, how he moves around. But how about that catch? I mean, honestly. So Kittle gets hurt. This guy comes in there, makes an absolutely unbelievable catch, and keeps the feet in, the whole thing. And Purdy put it where just he could get it, right? I mean, it's one of those passes where this is why that guy was worth the money that they paid him. And they paid him a lot. And a lot of people thought it was too much. But I'll tell you what, you put up some of Purdy's numbers against some of these other quarterbacks, and the fact that he was missing a left tackle, a tight end, a running back, and one of the best running backs in football, wide receivers. And so last year he didn't look the part. I'll tell you what, I think he looks the part. That guy and there's a kid right now at his same school, Iowa State, that looks a lot like Brock Purdy. So maybe they've got something figured out there with Coach Campbell down at Iowa State. I don't know, but Brock Purdy is the real thing. And look at how well he moved around to get that time to get that ball into the end zone.
Yeah, and he checked down multiple receivers too, because this isn't, obviously he wanted to go to the left with the initial, and he couldn't. And then he had pressure coming from the left, and he had to run to his right, and he still made the completion. So, yeah, fabulous. And then how about this, Pete, with Bosa recovering the fumble when Seahawks were in position. They're right there inside the 15. They're knocking on the door, and they could win it if he completes that pass. And instead, they shut him down, got the strip sack, and then Bosa comes away with the ball.
I'll tell you what, probably one of the most underrated defensive ends in football, John. And I only say that because, you always start with this edge rusher and this defensive end and this guy and whatever. And Bosa's somewhere in there. I mean, those two brothers are unbelievable. But, you'd watch this guy with the 49ers. I mean, he goes every single play like it's his last. And that's what you always want out of a player, and he does it. In that particular instance, he came flying through. He knocked the offensive tackle, probably about 340 or 350 pounds. He knocked him back so far, he hit him into the quarterback to cause that fumble. So, I mean, I don't know. I love watching the guy, and he is full tilt, man. I mean, I've been at practices, and I might be at one later on this week. It's just unbelievable to watch him and Brock Purdy, because Brock Purdy's the first guy in, the last guy out. He plays catch with a lot of the guys who are the ball boys and all that kind of stuff, John, just throwing the ball around and whipping it around and doing what he does best, which is throwing the football. But, some special players on that San Francisco team, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, Pete, how about your pal Micah? I mean, I'm not sure if you got to see that because you're on the West Coast right now. But if you didn't get to see Parsons in his Lambeau Field debut, boy, that kid's got a motor. It's like Bosa's motor. He is fast, and his closing speed on his sack, he went all the way from, basically middle of the field to make the sack on the other sideline as Goff was scrambling to try to, make something happen. That defense looks scary for Green Bay, unfortunately for me and my Bears.
And he elevates it up, John, because now you've got to count him. Now you've got to also look at some of the interior guys as well as the opposite side. That defense definitely got better. No doubt about it. The defense got better for the Green Bay Packers. Does it mean they're absolutely in the Super Bowl? No. But you know what? Week 1, pretty damn good win to get over to Detroit. Although I will say, with Detroit losing the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator, John, I think that's a bigger hit than a lot of people realize. And as much as I love Dan Campbell, I think that's something that they're going to have to tweak a few things, I think, over the next few weeks, because as good as Detroit is, they're missing those guys. One of them went to your Chicago. So right. I wanted to say this, John. How about this? The incredible week that we had the first week of the NFL. I mean, the Cowboys-Eagles kind of kicked it all off, right? Then you had the Chargers taking out the Chiefs, and a lot of people were saying, well, the Chiefs are still great and everything. And they are. There's no doubt about it. Patrick Mahomes is still fantastic. But Jim Harbaugh and those Chargers, John, with that offensive line, they're big and athletic. They're giants over there. Herbert's great. You'll go onto the defensive side. That's great. Oh, by the way, we also watched the Steelers go to, head-to-head with the Jets in New York, and it was pretty fun, I think, to see Aaron Rodgers throwing 4 touchdowns. No interceptions, by the way, but 4 touchdowns. Pretty good. But the Packer game with Micah, he got his first sack as a Packer, and I'll tell you what, I think he's going to be pretty excited to be up there, John. It's just such a different world than Dallas to be up in Green Bay, but that's going to be a lot of fun. And then you and I were talking about this one, the Bills-Ravens. Now, I'm going to say that might even been a better game. Actually, it was a better game, in my opinion, than the San Francisco game, just because it's a shootout between arguably the best 2 teams in all the AFC. I mean, going head-to-head, Derrick Henry was unbelievable. I mean, absolutely unbelievable.
175 yards rushing.
Not bad. And by the way, some of those, John, the guy's 255 pounds, and the guy is outrunning safeties and corners as he's sprinting down the field. I mean, if you watch how he trains and you watch what he does in the offseason, you can understand why he's able to do that during the season. Because the guy, he regiments everything he eats, how he works out, and he is fully committed. And I heard somebody say, he looks like he's only 25 years old. He does. He looks like a rookie as far as like his physical side of everything. He's unbelievable. So I thought it was a lot of fun to get the opening week out of the way and all the rest of that stuff. But man, I don't know. After coming through this, I don't know that we know who is the best right now, because the Ravens were there. Buffalo just made it happen at the end, right? So you've got those 2 teams. And then, of course, on the NFC, you've got a myriad of other teams. This is going to be a fun year. By the way, tonight, we got our Vikings and Bears. You and I are going against each other. John was a linebacker with the Bears. I was a linebacker with the Vikings. What do you think about that game?
I think it'll be great. But honestly, Pete, unless something really, really surprises me, the most complete team in the Norris division, as Chris Berman would call it, is Green Bay. I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. But from what I saw yesterday, running backs, offensive line, quarterback, Jordan Love looked great. But, hey, let's see. Caleb Williams could go out and become what we hoped he was last year, but he had 68 sacks. Now they've surrounded him with a better offensive line and even more weapons. So let's see. And I know you guys have J.J. McCarthy. Yeah. And that kid is a beast. Let's see what happens along with Jefferson and all the rest.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. The Vikings have a lot on both sides of the ball, so it'll be interesting to see how good they actually look, because preseason's preseason. We all know that. You can't judge anything about what you see during the preseason. And a lot of people try to do that, and it's ridiculous. How about college football, John? We had some pretty interesting games. And I'll give you the lineup of some of the upsets that we had. Arizona State lost to Mississippi State. and that was unexpected because Arizona State was ranked number 12. Number 13, Florida. Well, there's a school in Tampa called South Florida that took it to them, John, and the number 13 team went down. And then you've got Oklahoma at home, number 18, going up against Michigan, number 15. I would bet you that most people were looking at that game thinking, well, Michigan's got this quarterback we've all read about and all the money, and you and I talked about that. You put all those things together, tell you what, Oklahoma looked good. Oklahoma, I thought, did look like the better team in that game. It was a great game, but, that's the way it sometimes goes, even when you're at home. So, away for Michigan. Baylor, that one was interesting because of the fact that SMU is a number 17 team. I'm not so sure what we think of SMU. I look at them, John, and they sometimes look pretty good and all the rest of it. But here's my sleeper team for the year, the Illinois Illini. And here's why. Last year, they were 10-3. Everybody seems to forget that. Well, they didn't lose their quarterback. They still got Belima at coach, and he is a great coach who can get the most out of his players. I think that they started off 2-0 so far, John. They've got this kid, Luke Altmaier. He's 75% completion so far, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. If he keeps it up, which he could, these are only the first couple of games, but I'll tell you what, Illinois is a better team than anybody in the country really realizes right now. They will by the end of the year, I think.
Well, my sleeper, Pete, was going to be Florida because they played like they were asleep. That's the joke that I was going to throw out there because they did. They looked terrible. I mean, they just did. For a team that's loaded with talent, they didn't show it. They should have done. Their coach probably should have done, Pete, what the coach up at I don't know if you saw this, but Syracuse beat Connecticut 27-20, and the Syracuse coach made the team stay after and do wind sprints at the end of the game with the crowd all sitting there going, "What's going on out there?" And he said, "That's not the way we play." And that's with a win.
Yeah.
But maybe those Florida guys should have been doing some sprints. My real sleeper, Pete, is Nebraska. And I know you're going to like that.
Yep.
And here's the reason. They won 68-0. But talk about the little sisters of the poor. Who are these guys playing, Pete? Yeah. I mean, to start off, who are they playing? They're playing this week the Houston Christian Huskies football team. Now, most of you probably know where they're from, Houston, Texas, but you've never heard of that school before. No. And they used to be known as the Houston Baptist Huskies. And Pete, I don't know if they'll even put a lineup on this game. These poor guys playing Nebraska in Nebraska.
Yeah.
And on the field, it's going to be what? I don't know, 109 degrees or something like that. They're going to melt out there. So that would be a team, because they're not playing anybody for the first 3 weeks of the season. Some teams do that, like Pete and I have discussed. Yeah. Other teams start off like Ohio State and Texas saying, "Give it to me. Let's just go." And both those two teams, Ohio State and Texas, will be in the playoffs this year, Pete. Mark my words. Even though Texas lost to Ohio State. Wasn't like they got blown out.
No.
They got dominated, but they didn't get blown out. But Nebraska might be a lot better than anybody thought. And I think they should be on everybody's short list of really good teams.
Yeah, the quarterback's only going to be better, I think, and the rest of the team has gotten better partially because of that. And I like the coach Rule. I think he's done a great job at pretty much everywhere he's been. And I think you're right. I look at them as kind of that dark horse in the Big Ten that's going to get somewhere, along with Indiana, along with Illinois. I mean, I think there's a few. Shoot, I'll throw in my Golden Gophers. I don't know how good they are because the competition so far has not been good. They play Cal this week. That's at least a more competitive school for sure that they're going to be playing. So that'll be interesting to see how well do they look, this young quarterback that they've got. Are they as good as what we've seen so far against sort of the little sisters of the poor, right? And so now you start getting those answers by about week 3, week 4, because now we got to start pretty soon getting into actual conference play where you got to play in your conference. So that'll be something that'll be a little different for Nebraska as well as Minnesota.
Well, folks, we will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll let everybody know again that we've got less than 2 weeks before we do the Rebel Boot Camp down in Aventura, Florida, at the wonderful Grant Cardone campus for Cardone Capital, for the 10X Health, all these different businesses that Grant runs right down there out of Aventura, Florida. So we've got a state-of-the-art facility that we're going to be broadcasting from, and you can only come if you've A, already bought a ticket, or B, if you buy this virtual ticket so that you can join us virtually. So absolutely scan the QR code that Jared will throw up there for you, and make sure that you register early for the Rebel Boot Camp virtual ticket, which, by the way, again, includes $200 in either education or subscriptions, whatever you want, folks. You can apply that $200 to either more education or subscriptions. Check it out, scan that QR code, and you'll be joining us on the 19th of September. That's Friday for live trading. And then Saturday, a lot of education and great stories. So with that said, Pete, we're on tomorrow at what time?
1 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll see you then.
Bang.